Welcome to the Atomic Voodoo Lounge Podcast's special edition of A Car Full of Frankensteins, a short story by Maxwell Vegas. A Car Full of Frankensteins, a newsstand story by Maxwell Vegas. "Frankensteins!" someone yelled as the splash and twang of rockabilly guitar reverberated across the suburban night. It must have come from the next street over because Rusty saw no one except a lone trick-or-treater who disappeared down the sidewalk and into oblivion. For a split second, he considered the possibility he was watching himself vanish into the dark in silent dread of Halloween. But somehow that just didn't compute. Just couldn't be, regardless of the illogical holiday. Rusty scanned the empty streets, stepping one sneaker onto the asphalt, but before he could pluck it back, a car full of Frankensteins careened down Center Avenue, flat skulls, green skin, and neck bolts flashing before his eyes in a torrent of exhaust and link ray. Tilting his head in confusion, Rusty, a cobbled-together monster himself, clutched his treat bag tighter, feeling for the heavy bar, the one Mrs. Gardner dropped into his eager hand several houses back. But how was he different from those Frankensteins? They were much older for sure, but there was something else, something they wanted, something they lacked. Reaching into his bag, Rusty ran his fingers over Mrs. Gardner's bar, reassured by the midnight static of old transistor radios and the smell of fresh electronics. Rusty crossed Center Avenue, walking past the gas station toward the Outer Limits arcade before ducking behind an old motel and over to First Street, where a man in a field jacket stood at a payphone, not talking, but taking notes, his pen moving across a small black book, seeming to detail the kid's movements. The exhausted scrape of his shoes across the pavement, the fading spark urging him onward, urging him home to Mother. As he paused, Rusty side-eyed the man, unsure of whether he was an angel or a devil or just an observer writing reports to no one in particular. Suddenly, through the stillness, the monster's black 78 Malibu rolled out of the gloom, and Rusty ducked behind a parked car, clasping his bag and peeking up through the driver's side window. Frankensteins! Their stapled foreheads turned back and forth, white eyes searching through the haze of guitar-driven rock and roll. The kid reached for the bar again, its outline warm and faintly buzzing against the other candy wrappers. Holding his breath, he watched the shadows move on. As their taillights faded, Rusty bolted through the fallen leaves, acorns, and wood smoke to emerge a block over. A ring-dotted moon slipped from behind ragged clouds and silvered the street before him. Porch lights went out, and he was left alone, except for the Frankensteins' rumbling muscle car and their music. They were tailing him, and he dared not turn his head, expend his last bits of energy, heed any of their odious grunts and snarls or inarticulate laments. Almost home. Almost to Mother. Almost, he thought, panic draining his levels even lower, seizing his joints. A block away, Rusty's porch light blinked on, a beacon in the ponderous night spurring him to sprint along the center of the street, the flat-headed monsters in pursuit. As the Frankensteins bore down on him, a green sutured hand reached from the driver's side window, slow and stiff. It closed on nothing as Rusty juked to the left, stumbled across the walk, and crawled up his porch steps. The jealous monsters leered and grumbled from their idling automobile as the kid dumped the bag of treats onto the gray floorboards, sifting through peanut butter cups, Kit Kats, Snickers, Almond Joys, and there it was, the silver bar thrumming, glowing, illuminating Rusty's angular face. He had exactly what every Frankenstein wanted. What their decaying organics lacked, something they would never have even if they had caught him. With a knowing smile toward the monsters below, he pushed the bar straight into his mouth and walked into Mother's glowing arms. A Car Full of Frankensteins by Maxwell Vegas. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved. This has been a special edition of the Atomic Voodoo Lounge podcast. A Car Full of Frankensteins was featured in episode 6. To listen to the full episode, visit atomicvoodoolounge.com or look up Atomic Voodoo Lounge on your favorite podcast app. See you soon at the atomicvoodoolounge.com.